Alex Chen stood at the window of his small quarters on the human diplomatic ship, watching the planet Zilara grow larger as they approached. The purple and gold swirls of the alien world looked beautiful against the black of space. He had studied for 2 years to prepare for this mission. The future of human-Zilani relations depended on these peace talks. "Are you ready for this?" asked Captain Rose as she entered his room. She was a tall woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She had been Alex's mentor since he joined the diplomatic corps 5 years ago. "As ready as anyone can be," Alex replied, adjusting his formal blue uniform. "I just hope I don't mess this up." "The Zilani are so different from us," Captain Rose smiled. "You're one of our best linguists, Alex. You've learned their language better than anyone else in the fleet. Just remember to be respectful of their customs." Alex nodded. He had spent months studying Zilani culture through their transmissions and the few contact reports from previous encounters. The Zilani were an advanced species that valued honor, tradition, and family above all else. They were also much taller than humans, with pale blue skin and silver hair that seemed to glow in certain light. The ship docked at the massive Zilani space station orbiting their homeworld. Alex took a deep breath as he walked down the boarding ramp with the rest of the diplomatic team. The station was enormous, with high ceilings and elegant curved walls that seemed to pulse with soft light. A group of Zilani officials waited for them in the docking bay. They wore flowing robes of deep purple and gold, and their silver hair was braided with small crystals that caught the light. At the front of the group stood a young Zilani woman who was clearly someone important. "Welcome to Zilara System," she said in perfect English, though her voice had a musical quality that was distinctly alien. "I am Princess Kira. Daughter of High Commander Voss, I will be your guide and negotiator during your stay." Alex stepped forward and gave the traditional Zilani greeting he had practiced countless times, a slight bow with both hands, pressed together at chest level. "Your Highness, I am Alex Chen, Chief Negotiator for the human delegation. We are honored by your welcome." Princess Kira was beautiful in an otherworldly way. She stood nearly 7 feet tall with the same pale blue skin and silver hair as the other Zilani, but her eyes were a striking violet color that seemed to hold starlight. When she smiled, Alex felt his heart skip a beat. "Please call me Kira," she said warmly. "We do not need such formality between friends." The next few days were filled with tours of the station and preliminary discussions about trade agreements and territorial boundaries. Alex found himself working closely with Kira, translating between the human and Zilani delegations when the automated systems couldn't handle the more complex diplomatic language. Kira was incredibly intelligent and had a quick wit that made their long working sessions enjoyable rather than tedious. She would often ask Alex about human culture with genuine curiosity, and he found himself sharing stories about Earth that he hadn't planned to tell. "Your people seem to value individual choice very highly," Kira observed during one of their evening sessions. They were alone in a conference room, reviewing the day's negotiations over cups of a warm Zilani beverage that tasted like honey and starlight. "We do," Alex agreed. "Sometimes it causes problems, but we believe people should be free to make their own decisions about their lives." "That is very different from us," Kira said thoughtfully. "The Zilani believe that family and community connections are more important than individual wants. We make choices based on what is best for everyone, not just ourselves." "That sounds lonely sometimes," Alex said without thinking, then immediately worried he had offended her. But Kira just smiled sadly. "It can be, especially when you are expected to marry someone for political reasons rather than love." Alex felt a pang of sympathy for her. Despite being a princess with incredible power and privilege, she seemed trapped by the same expectations that bound many people across the galaxy. On the 5th day of negotiations, the Zilani announced that there would be a formal ceremony to celebrate the progress they had made. Alex was excited. He had read about Zilani ceremonies in his cultural studies and was eager to experience one firsthand. The ceremony took place in a beautiful hall with walls that seemed to be made of living crystal. Hundreds of Zilani filled the space, all wearing their finest robes and jewelry. The human delegation sat at a place of honor near the front, with Alex positioned directly across from Kira at what appeared to be the main table. The ceremony began with speeches from various Zilani officials, praising the humans for their openness and willingness to learn. Alex felt proud that his team had made such a good impression. Then servants began bringing out elaborate dishes of Zilani food, fruits that glowed softly, vegetables in colors Alex had never seen, and proteins that had been shaped into intricate artistic forms. "This is incredible," Alex whispered to Captain Rose, who was seated next to him. "Just remember to try everything they offer," she whispered back. Refusing food is considered very rude in their culture. The meal progressed through many courses, each more beautiful than the last. Alex tried his best to eat everything with enthusiasm, even when the flavors were completely foreign to his human palate. The Zilani around him seemed pleased by his efforts, and he noticed Kira smiling at him encouragingly from across the table. As the evening continued, the formal atmosphere began to relax. Zilani musicians played instruments that created sounds like wind chimes mixed with whale songs. Some of the younger Zilani began to dance, their movements flowing like water. Then something changed. The music shifted to a different rhythm, deeper and more resonant. The lighting in the hall dimmed to a warm golden glow. Alex noticed that many of the Zilani had stopped eating and were watching him and Kira with expectant faces. "What's happening?" Alex asked Captain Rose quietly. "I'm not sure," she replied, looking concerned. "This wasn't in any of the briefing materials." An elderly Zilani with elaborate robes and a crown of crystals stood up at the head table. He began speaking in the ancient form of Zilani that Alex had only studied briefly. The words were formal and ceremonial, but Alex could only catch fragments of meaning. The old Zilani gestured toward Alex and Kira. Two servants approached their table carrying ornate cups that seemed to be made of some kind of precious metal. The cups were filled with a liquid that sparkled and shifted colors like an aurora. "Sacred bonds," Alex heard the elder say in the modern Zilani language, "unity of souls." "Blessing of the ancestors." Alex looked at Kira in confusion. She was watching him with an expression he couldn't read, part nervous, part excited, part something else entirely. "Is this part of the ceremony?" Alex asked her quietly. "Yes," Kira replied, but her voice seemed strained. "We drink together to show the union between our peoples." The elder continued speaking, his voice growing more passionate. The other Zilani in the hall began to respond with what sounded like prayers or chants. Alex felt like he was in the middle of something much more significant than a simple diplomatic dinner. The servants placed the ceremonial cups in front of Alex and Kira. The liquid inside continued to shift and sparkle, almost like it was alive. Alex had never seen anything like it. "Together," the elder said in English, clearly for Alex's benefit. "Drink together to seal the bond." Alex looked around the room. Every single Zilani was watching him with intense focus. Captain Rose looked worried but nodded slightly when she caught his eye. Refusing would definitely be an insult at this point, possibly enough to ruin the entire negotiation. Alex picked up his cup. The metal was warm against his fingers, and the liquid inside smelled like flowers and starlight. Kira lifted her cup as well, her violet eyes meeting his across the table. "To friendship between our peoples," Alex said, hoping he was saying the right thing. "To bonds that cannot be broken," Kira replied. They drank at the same time. The liquid was sweet and seemed to tingle as it went down Alex's throat. He felt a strange warmth spreading through his chest, like sunshine on a spring morning. The hall erupted in celebration. The Zilani were cheering and singing, their crystal jewelry chiming like bells. Musicians played triumphant songs while dancers spun in joyful circles. It was the most beautiful celebration Alex had ever witnessed. Kira was smiling at him with pure happiness, her violet eyes sparkling with tears of joy. "Thank you," she said softly. "Thank you for accepting." "Accepting what?" Alex asked, still confused by the intensity of everyone's reaction. But before Kira could answer, dozens of Zilani surrounded their table to offer congratulations and blessings. Alex found himself swept up in a whirlwind of formal greetings and ceremonial well-wishes that lasted well into the night. The next morning, Alex woke up feeling strange. There was still that warm feeling in his chest from the ceremonial drink, and he had vivid dreams filled with starlight and music. He dressed quickly and headed to the conference room for the day's negotiations. He was surprised to find Captain Rose waiting for him with Dr. Martinez, the expedition's medical officer. Both of them looked extremely serious. "Alex, we need to talk," Captain Rose said. "Is something wrong?" Alex asked, immediately worried. "Sit down," Dr. Martinez said gently. "We need to run some medical scans on you. Standard procedure after consuming unknown alien substances. Alex submitted to the scans, though he felt fine. Dr. Martinez ran several different tests with her portable medical equipment, frowning at the results. "This is very strange," she murmured. "Your brain chemistry has changed. There are new neural pathways that weren't there yesterday, and your hormonal balance is completely different." "Is that dangerous?" Alex asked. "I don't think so," Dr. Martinez replied, "but it's definitely not normal." "What exactly did you drink last night?" Before Alex could answer, there was a commotion outside the conference room. They could hear Zilani voices speaking rapidly in their formal language, with tones that sounded urgent or excited. Captain Rose went to investigate and returned a few minutes later with a pale face. "Alex," she said slowly, "Princess Kira wants to see you immediately. She says it's extremely important." Alex found Kira in her private chambers, which were decorated with flowing fabrics and crystal sculptures that caught and reflected light in beautiful patterns. She was pacing back and forth, her silver hair disheveled as if she had been running her hands through it. "Kira?" Alex said softly. "Is everything all right?" She turned to face him, and Alex was shocked to see that she was crying. But they weren't tears of sadness. Her violet eyes were shining with overwhelming joy. "Alex," she said, her musical voice trembling with emotion. "The medical scanners confirmed it this morning. I'm pregnant." Alex felt the world spin around him. "Pregnant? But that's impossible. We just met a week ago and we never—" He stopped, realizing how that sounded. "The bonding ceremony," Kira explained, wiping tears from her eyes. "What we participated in last night. It wasn't just a symbol of friendship between our peoples. It was a fertility ritual. The sacred drink contains genetic material that allows different species to reproduce together, but I thought it was just a diplomatic ceremony." Alex protested, feeling panic rising in his chest. "I know," Kira said sadly. "I should have explained better. But Alex, you have to understand. In Zilani culture, children are the greatest blessing possible. I haven't been this happy in years." Alex sank into a chair, his mind reeling. "This is a disaster. Our governments will think this was planned. The peace talks will collapse. I could be charged with violating first contact protocols." "I don't care about any of that," Kira said fiercely, placing her hands protectively over her stomach. "This child will be a bridge between our species. Something beautiful and new." "Kira, you don't understand," Alex said desperately. "Humans don't make decisions like this without consent. What happened last night? In my culture, that would be considered—" He couldn't bring himself to finish the sentence. Kira's expression softened with understanding. "You feel violated. I'm so sorry, Alex. I never meant for you to feel that way. In Zilani culture, participating in a bonding ceremony is always considered consent for any outcomes. I didn't realize humans might see it differently." Alex felt his anger deflating. She genuinely hadn't meant to trick him. The cultural misunderstanding was nobody's fault, but the consequences would be enormous. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. "Now we figure out how to make this work," Kira said with determination. "I won't let anyone take this happiness away from me, and I won't let them punish you for an honest mistake." A urgent chiming sound filled the room, indicating an emergency communication. Kira activated a holographic display that showed the image of a stern-looking Zilani male, with elaborate ceremonial markings. "High Commander Voss," Kira said formally, standing straighter. Alex realized this must be her father. "Daughter," the High Commander said, his voice cold as space. "I have just received the medical reports. Explain yourself immediately." "Father, this is cause for celebration, not anger," Kira replied, though Alex could hear the tension in her voice. "A child born of two species will bring great honor to our family. A child born of an unplanned bonding with an alien during critical negotiations will bring scandal," her father replied harshly. "The Council of Elders is already calling for the human delegation to be expelled from our space." Alex felt sick. Everything he had worked for was falling apart because of one misunderstood ceremony. "The human was not informed of the ceremony's true nature," Kira said, defending him. "The fault is mine alone." "That matters little to the Council," High Commander Voss replied. "They see this as either incompetence or deliberation, neither of which reflects well on our family's honor." The communication ended abruptly, leaving Alex and Kira alone in heavy silence. "I should go face my captain," Alex said finally. "She's going to be furious." "Wait," Kira said, catching his arm. Whatever happens with our governments, I want you to know. I don't regret what happened. This child will be loved and wanted. Alex looked into her violet eyes and saw such genuine happiness that his heart ached. Despite everything that was falling apart around them, she was radiant with joy. I'm sorry, he said softly. I'm sorry this is causing you trouble with your family. My family will understand eventually, Kira replied. What matters now is protecting our child and finding a way to turn this crisis into an opportunity. Alex returned to the human delegation quarters to find chaos. Captain Rose was speaking rapidly with Fleet Command through an encrypted channel while Dr. Martinez reviewed medical data on multiple screens. Everyone looked up when he entered. Alex, thank God, Captain Rose said. We need to understand exactly what happened last night. Alex explained everything he could remember about the ceremony, while Dr. Martinez compared his biological scans with data she had requested from Zilani medical databases. This is unprecedented, Dr. Martinez said finally. Human-alien reproduction was thought to be impossible. The genetic compatibility required would be astronomical odds. Unless it was engineered, Captain Rose said grimly. Alex, you need to consider the possibility that this was planned from the beginning. A way to compromise our negotiating position. No, Alex said firmly. I was with Kira all week. She's genuinely happy about this pregnancy. This isn't some political conspiracy. Captain Rose looked unconvinced. Alex, you've been working closely with her for days. It's possible your judgment has been compromised. My judgment is fine, Alex replied, feeling defensive. And even if this was unplanned, we need to deal with the situation as it exists now. An emergency alert chimed through the ship's communication system. Captain Rose answered it immediately. Captain Rose, this is Admiral Thompson from Fleet Command, came the gruff voice through the speakers. We've received word of the incident. You are to prepare for immediate departure. The diplomatic mission is hereby terminated. Admiral, with respect, leaving now could be interpreted as abandoning responsibility, Captain Rose replied. That's not our problem, the Admiral said coldly. Negotiator Chen has compromised the entire mission. Bring him home for debriefing and disciplinary action. Alex felt his career collapsing around him. Everything he had worked for, all his dreams of being a successful diplomat, were disappearing because of one cultural misunderstanding. Sir, Alex said, stepping toward the communication unit. I request permission to speak. Go ahead, Chen, the Admiral replied, his tone suggesting Alex should choose his words carefully. Admiral, abandoning Princess Kira and the child now would confirm every negative stereotype the Zilani have about humans being unreliable and selfish. If we leave, there will never be peace between our species. That's no longer your concern, Admiral Thompson said. You've been relieved of duty. Report to Captain Rose for transport home. The communication ended, leaving the room in tense silence. I'm sorry, Alex, Captain Rose said quietly. I know how much this mission meant to you. Alex stood at the window looking out at the beautiful Zilani space station. Somewhere in there, Kira was probably facing similar anger and disappointment from her own people. The thought of abandoning her and their unborn child made him feel sick. I'm not going, he said suddenly. Alex, you don't have a choice, Captain Rose replied. Actually, I do, Alex said, turning to face her. I resigned from the diplomatic corps. As a civilian, I can choose to stay here and take responsibility for my actions. Alex, think about what you're saying, Dr. Martinez said gently. You'd be giving up everything, your career, your life on Earth, your family. What kind of person would I be if I just ran away? Alex asked. Kira didn't choose this situation either, but she's willing to face it with courage and hope. The least I can do is the same. Captain Rose studied his face for a long moment. You're sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything in my life, Alex replied. As if summoned by his words, another communication alert sounded. This time it was Kira's image that appeared in the holographic display. Alex, she said, her voice carefully controlled. I wanted to let you know that the Council of Elders has made their decision. You are being declared persona non grata and ordered to leave Zilani space immediately. What about you? Alex asked. I am being confined to my family's estate until after the child is born, Kira replied sadly. My father hopes that keeping me out of public sight will minimize the scandal. That's not fair, Alex said angrily. You didn't do anything wrong. Fairness is less important than family honor in Zilani culture, Kira replied with bitter acceptance. Kira, Alex said, making a decision that surprised even himself. What if there was another way? What do you mean? Alex took a deep breath. What if I didn't leave? What if I stayed and we faced this together? Kira's eyes widened. Alex, that's impossible. You would lose everything. I've already lost everything, Alex replied. My career is over no matter what. But maybe we could build something new together. For the first time since the crisis began, Kira smiled, the same radiant expression he had seen at the ceremony. You would do that? You would stay here for me and our child? Not just for you, Alex said, surprised by his own certainty. For the chance to prove that humans don't abandon their responsibilities. For the possibility that our child could really be a bridge between our species. The Council will never allow it, Kira said, though her voice held a note of hope. Then maybe it's time to show them that there are alternatives to their traditional ways, Alex replied. Isn't that what real diplomacy is about? Finding solutions that nobody thought were possible? Captain Rose placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. I think you might be onto something, she said thoughtfully. What if this wasn't the end of the diplomatic mission, but the beginning of something entirely new? Dr. Martinez looked up from her medical data. According to these scans, the child will have genetic traits from both species. If Alex stays and they raise the child together, it could be living proof that cooperation between humans and Zelani is not only possible, but beneficial. Alex felt hope beginning to replace the despair that had filled him all day. Kira, are you willing to try? Even if it means challenging your father and the Council? For you and our child, Kira said, her violet eyes shining with determination, I would challenge the entire galaxy. As the first part of their unexpected journey together came to an end, Alex realized that what had seemed like the worst diplomatic disaster in human history might actually be the beginning of the greatest success story ever told. The future was uncertain, but for the first time since that fateful ceremony, Alex felt ready to face whatever came next. 3 weeks had passed since Alex made his decision to stay on Zalara. The human diplomatic ship had departed without him, leaving behind only a small communication relay so he could contact Earth if needed. Alex now lived in a modest apartment in the civilian sector of the space station, surviving on his personal savings and the kindness of a few sympathetic Zelani merchants. Every day, Alex tried to visit Kira at her family's estate on the planet's surface, but the guards always turned him away. High Commander Voss had made it clear that the human was not welcome near his daughter. Alex's only contact with Kira came through brief, monitored communications that told him little beyond the fact that she and the baby were healthy. This isn't working, Alex muttered to himself as he stared out the window of his small apartment. The view of Zalara's purple and gold surface mocked him with its beauty. He was no closer to solving their problem than he had been 3 weeks ago. A soft chime indicated someone was at his door. Alex opened it to find a young Zelani male with simple brown robes and curious green eyes. Greetings, Alex Chen, the visitor said in heavily accented English. I am Talo, student of ancient cultures at the Central University. May I speak with you? Of course, Alex replied, grateful for any company. Please come in. Talo entered the modest apartment and looked around with interest. You live very simply for someone who caused such a great disturbance. Alex couldn't help but smile at the blunt observation. I don't have much choice. Most Zelani won't even speak to me, let alone hire me for work. Yes, I have heard this, Talo said, settling onto one of the simple chairs. But I am curious about something. Why did you choose to stay? Your people offered you safety and forgiveness if you returned home. Alex considered the question carefully, because running away from a mistake doesn't fix it. Princess Kira is carrying my child, and that child deserves to have both parents in their life. Talo's green eyes widened with surprise. You feel parental responsibility for a child not yet born? This is most unusual for someone from a species we know little about. Is it so strange? Alex asked. Don't Zelani fathers care about their children? Of course they do, Talo replied, but only after the child is born and accepted into the family. Before birth, the child belongs only to the mother and her family line. Alex felt a spark of understanding. So in Zelani culture, I have no legal claim to the child until after it's born? Exactly, Talo confirmed, which is why the High Commander can forbid you from seeing Princess Kira until the child is born and acknowledged. You are considered an outsider with no family rights. But what if I could prove that human fathers are different? Alex asked, his mind racing. What if I could show that humans consider themselves responsible for their children from the moment of conception? Tallow looked thoughtful. That would be very interesting to the university scholars. We have been studying human culture since first contact, but we have very little information about human family structures. An idea began to form in Alex's mind. Tallow, would you be willing to help me with something? I want to create a presentation about human parenting customs for the university scholars. You wish to give a lecture? Tallow asked, clearly intrigued. More than that, Alex said, his excitement growing. I want to show them that human culture has valuable perspectives on family and responsibility that could benefit Zelani society. Over the next week, Alex worked with Tallow to prepare a comprehensive presentation about human family structures. He contacted Dr. Martinez, who had remained in the system aboard a research vessel, and asked her to provide scientific data about human-child development and parental bonding. The presentation took place in a large lecture hall at the Central University. Alex had expected maybe a dozen curious scholars, but was amazed to find the hall packed with hundreds of Zelani of all ages. Word had apparently spread that the human who had bonded with Princess Kira would be speaking publicly for the first time. Alex stood at the podium, looking out at the sea of pale blue faces and silver hair. His heart was pounding, but he thought of Kira and their unborn child and found his courage. Honored scholars of Zalara, he began in formal Zelani, which earned him surprised murmurs from the audience. I come before you today not as a diplomat or negotiator, but as a father. The murmuring stopped. Every person in the hall was now giving him their complete attention. In human culture, Alex continued, switching to English with Tallow providing simultaneous translation, we believe that fatherhood begins at the moment of conception. A human male who contributes to creating a child becomes responsible for that child's welfare immediately, not just after birth. Alex activated the holographic display system and began showing images from Earth. Fathers attending medical appointments with pregnant mothers, building nurseries for unborn children, reading to babies still in the womb. These behaviors seem strange to you, Alex said, noting the confused expressions in the audience. Why would someone invest time and emotion in a child who might not survive to birth? In Zelani culture, this would be considered inefficient and emotionally dangerous. An elderly female scholar stood up. Young human, if what you say is true, then your species must suffer great pain when pregnancies do not result in live births. We do, Alex replied honestly. Human fathers often grieve deeply for children they never got to meet. But we believe that the possibility of loss does not negate the responsibility of hope. Another scholar raised his hand. But what practical purpose does this serve? How does early emotional investment benefit the child or society? Alex smiled. That's an excellent question. Dr. Martinez, who studies human biology, has provided some fascinating data. The display showed brain scans and hormonal charts. Human fathers who bond with their children early show increased production of protective hormones and enhanced neural pathways for empathy and problem-solving. This makes them better providers and protectors throughout the child's life. The audience was clearly fascinated. A middle-aged male scholar stood up. Are you suggesting that early paternal bonding creates superior fathers? I'm suggesting that human fathers who accept responsibility early are more motivated to overcome obstacles for their children's sake, Alex replied. For example, I have spent the last month learning advanced Zelani language, studying your legal system and researching your cultural history, all because I want to be worthy of my child. But you could have simply returned to your own world and avoided all difficulties, another scholar pointed out. Yes, Alex agreed. And if I had done that, what kind of father would I be? What kind of example would I set for my child? Human children need to know that their fathers will fight for them, even when the fight seems impossible to win. An elderly male with elaborate scholarly robes stood up from the front row. Alex recognized him from photos as Dr. Vec, the head of the Cultural Studies Department and one of the most respected intellectuals on Zalara. Young human, Dr. Vec said in perfect English, your presentation raises intriguing questions about the nature of responsibility and commitment. But you have not addressed the central issue. Your child will be half Zelani. How do you propose to raise a child whose heritage you cannot fully understand? Alex had been hoping someone would ask that question. Dr. Vec, that's exactly why I believe human and Zelani cultures need to work together. Neither Kira nor I alone can give this child everything they will need, but together we can provide them with the best of both worlds. Explain, Dr. Vec said, leaning forward with interest. Zelani culture offers wisdom about community responsibility, long-term thinking and respect for tradition, Alex said. Human culture offers adaptability, individual empowerment, and the courage to challenge established systems when they become obstacles rather than solutions. Alex activated another display showing developmental charts. Dr. Martinez's projections suggest that our child will have enhanced cognitive abilities from both species. Zelani pattern recognition and memory, combined with human creative problem-solving and emotional intelligence, but only if the child is raised with exposure to both cultures. A young female scholar raised her hand. But how would such a partnership work practically? Zelani and human family structures are completely different. Alex felt his heart rate increase. This was the crucial moment. That's what I want to find out. I'm proposing an experimental family structure, a formal partnership between myself and Princess Kira to raise our child with full access to both cultures. The hall erupted in excited conversation. Dr. Vec raised his hand for silence. You are suggesting a new form of interspecies cooperation? Exactly, Alex replied. Not just diplomacy between governments, but actual family bonds between individuals. Our child could be proof that Zelani and humans can not only coexist, but create something better together than either species could achieve alone. An older female scholar stood up. Young human, your proposal is fascinating in theory, but you face a practical problem. Princess Kira is confined to her family estate by order of the High Commander. How do you propose to implement this experimental partnership? Alex took a deep breath. With your help. If the scholarly community of Zelara endorse this as a legitimate cultural research project, the High Commander might be persuaded to allow it. Dr. Vec stroked his chin thoughtfully. You want the university to sponsor your relationship with the princess as an academic study? I want the university to sponsor the first formal study of human Zelani family integration, Alex corrected. Kira and I would be the test subjects and our child would be the proof of concept. The audience began talking excitedly among themselves. Alex could hear fragments of conversation in multiple Zelani dialects as the scholars debated the possibilities. Dr. Vec called for order again. This is a most unusual proposal. The university would need to guarantee that proper academic protocols were followed and that meaningful data was collected. I'm prepared to undergo any testing or documentation you require, Alex said. My life is already under constant scrutiny anyway. A younger male scholar raised his hand. But what about Princess Kira? Has she agreed to participate in such a study? I haven't been allowed to speak with her about it, Alex admitted, but I believe she would be willing. She has always been interested in cultural exchange, and this would advance understanding between our species. Dr. Vec nodded slowly. If the princess were willing and if the High Commander agreed to allow it, this could indeed be a valuable research opportunity. The university has never had the chance to study long-term interspecies cooperation at such an intimate level. Dr. Vec, Alex said carefully, would you be willing to present this proposal to the High Commander? I believe it would sound more legitimate coming from the university than from me directly. That is possible, Dr. Vec replied. But first, the faculty council would need to review your proposal formally. We would require a detailed research plan, clear objectives, and measurable outcomes. Alex felt hope rising in his chest for the first time in weeks. How long would that review take? 3 days, Dr. Vec said. If approved, I would personally contact High Commander Voss to discuss the matter. The hall was buzzing with excitement as the scholars filed out, many stopping to ask Alex additional questions about human culture. Tallow approached with a huge smile. Alex, that was amazing, the young Zelani said. I have never seen the professor so interested in a research proposal. Do you think it will work? Alex asked. Dr. Vec is very influential, Tallow replied. If he supports your proposal, the High Commander will listen. 3 days later, Alex received a message to report to Dr. Vec's office at the university. He arrived to find not only Dr. Vec, but also 3 other senior faculty members and, to his amazement, High Commander Voss himself. The High Commander was even more imposing in person than he had appeared in holographic communications. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, with silver hair that had streaks of gold indicating his advanced age and high status. His violet eyes, so similar to Kira's, studied Alex with an expression that could have frozen starlight. "Human," the High Commander said without preamble. "Dr. Vec has presented me with an interesting proposal. He suggests that your relationship with my daughter could serve as a research project for the university." "Yes, sir," Alex replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "I believe it could benefit both our species to understand how human and Zelani families might work together. And you believe you are qualified to represent humanity in such an important study?" The High Commander asked coldly. Alex straightened his shoulders. "Sir, I may not be the ideal representative, but I'm the one who's here. I'm the one who's committed to making this work regardless of the challenges." High Commander Voss studied him for a long moment. "Dr. Vec, show him the conditions." Dr. Vec activated a holographic display showing a detailed contract. "Alex, if this research project is approved, you would be required to live on the family estate under constant observation. Your daily activities, interactions with Princess Kira, and preparations for the child would all be documented for academic study." "I understand," Alex said, reading through the contract terms. "I accept those conditions." "There's more," the High Commander said. "If at any point the research shows that human involvement is harmful to my daughter or grandchild, the study will be terminated immediately, and you will be expelled from Zelani space." "That's fair," Alex agreed. "And if the child shows any signs of genetic or developmental problems that could be attributed to the interspecies mating, you will accept full responsibility and forfeit any claims to parental rights." Alex felt his heart skip a beat. That was a much more serious risk. But then he thought of Kira's radiant smile when she told him about the pregnancy, and his resolve strengthened. "I accept," he said firmly. High Commander Voss looked surprised by Alex's quick agreement. "You would risk losing your child to participate in this study?" "Sir," Alex said, meeting the High Commander's intimidating gaze, "I'm not risking losing my child. I'm fighting for the chance to be part of their life. If I don't take this opportunity, I'll lose them anyway." For the first time, High Commander Voss's expression softened slightly. "You really intend to commit to this long term, even though it means giving up your previous life completely?" "High Commander, my previous life led me to this moment," Alex replied. "Everything I've done, everything I've learned, has prepared me for this challenge. I don't want to go back to who I was before I met your daughter." Dr. Vec cleared his throat. "High Commander, the Faculty Council voted unanimously to approve this research project. The potential benefits to our understanding of interspecies relations are enormous." High Commander Voss nodded slowly. "Very well. The research project is approved. Alex Chen, you will be transported to the family estate tomorrow morning. Dr. Vec will assign graduate students to document the study." Alex felt relief flooding through him. "Thank you, sir. I won't disappoint you." "See that you don't," the High Commander replied. "My daughter's happiness and my grandchild's welfare are worth more to me than any scientific advancement." The next morning, Alex found himself standing outside an elegant mansion, set in rolling hills covered with crystalline trees that chimed softly in the breeze. The estate was beautiful beyond anything he had imagined, with gardens that seemed to glow with their own inner light. Kira was waiting for him at the main entrance. She was now obviously pregnant, her flowing robes unable to hide the growing curve of her belly. But what struck Alex most was her expression, pure joy mixed with relief and love. "Alex," she said, rushing toward him as fast as her condition allowed. "I can't believe you're really here." "I told you I wasn't going anywhere," Alex replied, catching her hands in his. "How are you feeling? How's the baby?" "We're both perfect," Kira said, her violet eyes sparkling with tears of happiness. "But I was so afraid the council would never allow this. When Dr. Vec explained the research project, I thought it was the most brilliant solution I'd ever heard. It was the only way I could think of to prove that this could work," Alex admitted. "Are you really okay with having our entire lives studied and documented?" "If it means we can be together and raise our child as a family," Kira said firmly, "I would agree to anything." A group of young Zelani approached them, carrying recording equipment and data tablets. Alex recognized the lead student as one of the scholars who had attended his lecture. "Princess Kira, Alex Chen, the student said formally. I am Nira, doctoral candidate in cross-cultural studies. We are here to begin documentation of the human Zilani family integration research project. Welcome to our experiment, Alex said with a grin, realizing that their entire relationship would now be part of academic history. The next few months passed in a blur of recorded conversations, documented cultural exchanges, and careful preparation for the baby's arrival. Alex learned to cook Zilani foods that would be safe for a pregnant mother of a hybrid child. Kira studied human child-rearing techniques and learned English lullabies to sing to their unborn daughter. Yes, daughter, the medical scans had confirmed that their child would be female, with a unique genetic structure that combined the best traits of both species. Dr. Martinez visited regularly to monitor the pregnancy, working with Zilani physicians to ensure both mother and baby remained healthy. Her brain development is remarkable, Dr. Martinez reported during one of her visits. She's showing neural patterns that we've never seen before, complex connections that suggest she'll have capabilities beyond either parent species. What kind of capabilities? Alex asked. Enhanced memory and pattern recognition from the Zilani side, combined with creative problem-solving and emotional intelligence from the human side, Dr. Martinez explained. She may be able to understand and communicate with both species in ways that neither could achieve alone. Alex and Kira spent long evenings planning their daughter's future, discussing how to give her the best of both worlds while helping her navigate the challenges of being unique. I want her to be proud of what she is, Kira said one evening as they sat in the garden watching the crystal trees chime in the sunset breeze. Not ashamed of being different. She will be, Alex said confidently. She'll be proof that differences can create something beautiful instead of causing division. The research team documented every aspect of their growing partnership. Alex's adaptation to Zilani customs, Kira's enthusiasm for human traditions, their collaborative decision-making process, and their shared excitement about parenthood. Dr. Vec visited regularly to review the data, and Alex was encouraged by his increasingly positive reports. The preliminary findings are remarkable, Dr. Vec told them during one of his visits. You two have developed a communication style that leverages the strengths of both cultures. Your problem-solving approaches complement each other in ways we never anticipated. What does that mean for our daughter's future? Kira asked. It means, Dr. Vec said with a rare smile, that this research project may become the foundation for a new model of interspecies cooperation. Other families may follow your example. When their daughter was finally born, she was even more beautiful than the medical scans had suggested. She had Kira's violet eyes and silver hair, but Alex's facial structure and skin tone that was a perfect blend of human and Zilani features. What should we name her? Alex asked as he held his daughter for the first time, marveling at how perfectly she fit in his arms. In Zilani tradition, the father chooses the first name and the mother chooses the family name, Kira explained. But since we're creating new traditions, perhaps we should choose together. They named her Luna Starweaver, Luna from Alex's love of Earth's moon, and Starweaver from an ancient Zilani legend about beings who could connect distant worlds. The birth was attended not only by medical staff and the research team, but also by representatives from both the human and Zilani governments. News of the successful birth had spread throughout both civilizations, turning Luna into a symbol of hope for peaceful cooperation. High Commander Voss held his granddaughter with tears in his eyes. She is perfect, he said softly. Absolutely perfect. Sir, Alex said carefully. Kira and I have been discussing Luna's future. We want to establish a formal cultural exchange program, with Luna as the first student. She would spend time learning from both civilizations. You want to use my granddaughter as a diplomat? The High Commander asked. We want to give her the tools to build bridges between worlds, Kira corrected gently, just like Alex did when he chose to stay and fight for our family instead of running away. High Commander Voss looked at Alex with new respect. You have proven yourself to be a worthy father and partner to my daughter. The research project will be expanded into a permanent cultural exchange program, with you and Kira as the directors. 6 months later, Alex stood in the same lecture hall where he had first proposed his research project, but now it was filled with representatives from a dozen different species who had come to learn about the human-Zilani integration model. Luna slept peacefully in Kira's arms while Alex addressed the audience. What started as a diplomatic disaster has become proof that our differences can be our greatest strengths. Luna represents not just the possibility of biological compatibility between species, but the potential for creating something entirely new through cooperation and commitment. Dr. Martinez presented updated medical data showing that Luna was developing exactly as predicted, with enhanced abilities from both species and no negative health effects from her hybrid genetics. The success of this family unit has implications far beyond personal happiness, Dr. Vec added. It demonstrates that interspecies cooperation can be sustainable and beneficial at the most intimate level of society. As the presentation ended and representatives from various worlds approached to ask questions, Alex reflected on how much his life had changed. A year ago, he had been an ambitious young diplomat, hoping to make his mark on galactic politics. Now he was a father, a research subject, and a living example of how humans could adapt and thrive in impossible situations. "Do you ever regret it?" Kira asked quietly as they watched Luna sleep. "Giving up your old life for this unknown future?" Alex looked at his daughter's perfect face, then at Kira's radiant smile. "How could I regret the best decision I ever made?" Outside the lecture hall, a group of young humans and Zelani were planning the first interspecies cultural exchange program for children. Luna would not grow up alone. She would be part of the first generation to truly belong to both worlds. As Alex carried his sleeping daughter home to their quarters in what was now the Interspecies Cultural Center, he realized that his greatest diplomatic success had come not from negotiating treaties or trade agreements, but from simply refusing to give up on what mattered most. The human solution, he thought with a smile, was sometimes just being stubbornly, hopefully impossibly human.